Hey, howdy, and a big welcome back to Clem Hawks, folks. I'm Yak alongside Clem, ready to take you through this evening's big trade in the MLB featuring the Los Angeles Angels and the Milwaukee Brewers. A big old deal going down at just about 11 p.m. Eastern time. Obviously, it happened about 25 minutes ago at time of recording. We had to get some stats ready and together for you. Clem will take you through all that in just a matter of moments. But friends, if you're new to the channel, a couple of reminders for you. We'd love to have you along for this whole MLB offseason, and of course, any NHL stuff we can fit in between, and NASCAR if Clem's got anything on the radar. So if you could be so kind to consider hitting that subscribe button on this video, really appreciate that. And secondary, if you're liking this trade, if you're liking anything about this deal, leave a like on the video as well. And Clem's giving me hand motions that I've already forgotten to mention. We're trying to hit 5,000 subscribers by the end of the month, or not end of the month, end of the year. So if you'd be kind to maybe take the consideration a little bit more seriously, that'd be great. Clem, to you, my man, Hunter Renfroe to Los Angeles Angels. Take it away. What do we know?
Well, yeah, I don't know why I put up 5-3. I mean, if we can hit 5,300 subscribers, that'd be cool too. But
Let's do it.
the Angels are making moves, is what it looks like. They just traded for Hunter Renfroe, veteran outfielder. So that's a big pickup. They also obviously traded for Gio Urshela like a week ago. So they are really making moves. Actually, that was like 4 days ago. So
Yes.
they are going in. Another interesting note, though, if you haven't seen the video, we literally just posted probably less than an hour ago. We just talked about the Angels being in on Mitch Haniger, and it kind of looks like that maybe is not the case anymore because they went and picked up outfielder Hunter Renfroe, who is definitely going to make an immediate impact in the power category. The Angels obviously lost Marsh last year, or at the trade deadline when they traded him to the Phillies. So to pick up another outfield bat, power guy, I mean, they basically got one piece for another. And I know Marsh is a lot younger, but they're getting that experience in Renfroe, and obviously we'll go through his stats here in 1 second. But he's a good fit, and I think that the Angels gave up 3 pitchers for him. While you're talking, going into the next segue, I'll pull up their stats as well. But
Okay.
it looks like they are just trying to make some moves. And the interesting thing is, though, and maybe you can speak to this a little bit, they're good trades. Gio Urshela, good trade. Renfroe's a good trade, but they're going to require some money. Do the Angels, I mean, have that kind of money? But two, like, are these guys superstars? Are they going to really push the needle to make the Angels a playoff team?
Well, and neither of them are pitchers. I think that's been the Angels' bane of trying to make the playoffs under the Mike Trout era. Is pitching has always come back to bite them by the end of the season. And secondary, you can add all the bats, the defense you want in Urshela and in Renfroe, but the problem is if you don't have the pitching, which it obviously I think they signed Tyler Anderson, and obviously the pitching could be rounding out into form to be a little bit better over last year, improved quite significantly potentially if somebody gets hot, but at the same rate too, your lead pitcher is Shohei Ohtani, who is also your second best hitter. So that's kind of a backwards thing for the Angels. Not necessarily like Shohei Ohtani is incredible. Do not quote me on saying it's backwards in terms of like it's dumb. No, it's just right is one of those things. You can't have a two-way player be your best pitcher. Yes, he is an incredible pitcher and is an ace in the MLB, but you got to have somebody that's 1-2 with him, and I don't know if the Angels have that on the staff. So to you, you've pulled up some stats, Clem. What are we thinking?
Yeah, so specifically with the trade, it was Hunter Renfroe to the Angels for 3 pitchers that will be headed back to Milwaukee. Those 3 pitchers are Jansen Junk, Elvis, I'm going to pronounce names very incorrectly, but Elvis Peguero, and the lefty Adam Seminarius.
They did
So,
not give you easy ones there. That
no,
there was no softballs.
Jansen Junk, though, is a prospect. However, I think he made his major league debut this past season. Honestly, something comes to mind of some sort of no-hitter I thought that he was maybe a part of, or maybe did well in one of his starts. I thought he was an MLB player that was a young guy, but it looks like he's 26 years old. So still a prospect, I guess.
By
He's
MLB terms, 26 is young.
Yeah, I guess. So he's the 16th ranked prospect in the Angels organization, but he does have MLB status. The other two guys not in the top 30, so of note there. Um, I mean, maybe they're younger guys taking a chance, but not in the top 30 prospects. So maybe a new change in scenery will help them in Milwaukee. But yeah, it doesn't look like the Angels gave up too much. I mean, your 16th uh, prospect who, I mean, is already made MLB experience. So maybe they've already gotten a look at him and said he's not going to pan out or something. You're not giving away much, especially for Renfroe, who is a solid player. Like we already mentioned, he's a veteran player, can play all over the place, a little bit of outfield, of course, first base. 30 years old, so he's still in his prime, I would say, but maybe a touch over. But he's produced. Like that's the main point of this. He had his best season ever in terms of OPS plus at 126, had a 255 batting average, but he also hits for power. He's had 29 home runs this last year, had 31 the year before, and he's had 30 or 25 home runs outside of the COVID year. Every year he's been a full-time player in the MLB. Played in 125 games, so still giving you a lot of quality there. 121 hits, like I mentioned, the 29 home runs and 72 RBI. The guy can produce, and he was on a team that was looking to make the playoffs last year with the Brewers. Didn't do it. The Angels obviously are looking to kind of go all in here with, again, maybe not the biggest names in the world, but guys who can produce. Gio Urshela, great defensively. Hunter Renfroe is a power bat. He can do it kind of it all. It looks like the Angels are making the smart moves here, especially not giving up a ton for their guy. So honestly, big trade here for the Angels, and I think it's going to go in their favor, especially this season.
So that's exactly what my next point was. You've already kind of ruined half the surprise, but we've got about a minute left in the video here. Just a quick thought on who wins right now. You've kind of already spoiled that part of my question, but who wins long term on this deal just based on the unknown nature of prospects, but also based on what we know Renfroe is now?
I'm going to go with the Angels. They're making the right moves, I think, and especially with the way the Brewers have looked the last, I mean, since the trade deadline, they were always kind of in the playoffs, but they traded Josh Hader. They traded him away. They did not like their trade that they made for Taylor Rogers. Like, they're not making the right moves here to go in the right direction. And honestly, it starts to look like one of two things. One, they are just completely making the wrong moves and they are not doing things correctly. Or two, they are trying to do a rebuild. And that's interesting because they were a playoff team last year, or at least right on the cusp of it. Whereas the Angels are kind of in the exact same situation, but they're trending the other way. They've always been so close. And now you add Renfroe, you add Gio Urshela. Obviously, Shohei Ohtani's amazing. Trout hopefully will be healthy for a whole season. You've got all the pieces there. And if they can just make things go their direction, literally at all, they should be able to make the playoffs, and then anything can happen there. So short term and long term, I think that the Angels win this trade. And especially if you're in a win now mentality, like take this year and run with it. And it might not be the best trade in the world, but it should help the Angels make a push.
There you go, folks. He's Clem. I'm Yak. That's what you need to know. The Angels have acquired Hunter Renfroe on this sleepy Tuesday night in November. Folks, have yourself a great rest of the evening. If you like the topic tonight, leave a like on the video secondary to that. If you're new to the channel, I hope you took the time to consider subscribing. 5,000, the big old goal by the end of the year. We'd love to have you. One last time. He's Clem. I'm Yak. Up on, gone.